Right, so it's about time I give this car some love. It's been sitting there patiently waiting while the other cars have been getting built. I've just took the cover off it. If I've got any chance of getting this to any events this year, I need to start working on it. There's loads of bits I need to tidy up. It hasn't been driven since last year, so let's get working on it. So cosmetically, something that's needed to be addressed for a long time on this car is the front bumper. That's the track bumper that was on there. And I've got another 2 bumpers for it now. These bumpers are so hard to find when they're not cracked. They're normally all cracked along this section here where people hit the curbs, and I've managed to find 2 uncracked ones, so obviously they're going to be painted up. No fog. I've got fog lights, but I'm not going to run fog lights with original grille. Looks like chicken mesh. So this one, as you can see, this is going in the bin now. This is in a right state, but these bumpers are made by ProDrive. That's why they're so hard to get hold of, because they're made on a very limited edition. So you can just about make out the ProDrive stamp on the bottom of this bumper, but it's a lot clearer on the rear bumper extension. And if you know ProDrive, they're the rally car company. They make mainly Subarus, but they've done Opel Vauxhalls as well. Not a lot of people know, but that's why this car's very rare. They only made 400, well, they made 500, but there's only 497 put on the road. I just had the episode with the red one. There was only 25 made, and then this is a silver one. I think there was around 200 made in silver. So I've just noticed that the battery seems to have leaked out, lost a cell of battery acid. So I've just pulled it out. You can see it's been leaking down there. It looks like it's stripped up all the paint and everything, so that's nice. So I'm going to get this seat out. Just pulled the battery out. Going to get the seat out. See what's happening in the floor pan. What a mess. That stuff is nasty. I've just had to scrape it off. You can see where it's literally stripped the paint all the way back, all through the galvanised coating, all the seam sealer, stripped it all the way back to bare metal, started rusting straight away. It's nasty, that battery acid. So one of the things I've been putting off a long time with this car was the interior. It's always been okay, you know, it's not terrible inside, but it's I got rid of all the sand ending without having to scratch up all the paint and stuff like that. I took care with it. But I just wanted to make it a nicer place. There's a lot more weight that I can lose out of it as well. You can see I've just stripped that nasty bit where the battery acid etched into the metal. So I stripped all that back. That was nasty. I had to put a mask on everything. So you can see that this side's got the rails all welded in, and this side hasn't. It was just I didn't have time last year, and I was using the car, and the driver's side is so hard to line up. And the other side of it is, look how many spot welds is on this thing. It's literally peppered with spot welds. There's hundreds of things. I remember doing that side and I was like, oh my god, I've got to do this side as well now. So I'm going to have to get it done. Also, what I'm going to do is all that wiring and everything, there's a load of it that ain't even needed. So I'm going to strip that all back. There's a load of weight I can save in there. You can see like there's plugs and stuff that don't go to nothing for other looms. There's tons of like weight. I don't want that loom hanging there. That was cable tied up. I've just cut them all. So I'm going to strip that back as well. And I don't know how deep I'm going to get into this, but I might even paint it. When I do a job, I have to do it properly. So I'm getting through them gradually. There's a load of them. You can see how many there is just in one little panel. There's so many spot welds. This is why I don't like doing them. But getting through them, I'm even using a proper spot weld drill bit and still popping through because the metal's so thin. I think it's like 1.5 mil. So I'll weld them up as well, fill them in, but still got a load more to do to get this off, but it'll be worth it. So this is the weird one. I've just drilled this out. You can see it's like pretty flush. I don't know how anything's got in there, but I took it off. Money inside here. So I've no idea how money managed to get in there unless it's probably slid in this little gap along the back or something. It's funny what you find when you're digging up carpet and taking bits out of cars. Finally, that's the last of the spot welds. Managed to do it without drilling through the floor too many times. You can see there's only a couple there that I need to weld up. This big cross member section's out now. And found some Monopoly from 2013. McDonald's. Strawberry milkshake. Don't know how that got there because I don't even drink strawberry milkshake. Found some more money as well. So we're going to give this floor pan a clean up now. So I've just quickly knocked up some spreader plates so I can weld them to the exhaust tunnel. I never like to weld the tubing straight to the bodywork of the car because it can easily just pull out. The bodywork of the car is about 1 millimetre thick. These spreader plates spread the load, stops it ripping out in a crash. So I've just finished off tacking in the spreader plates for the rails. Obviously, you know what spreader plates are for by now. They're just to support the load, stop it tearing through, because this floor pan's only like 1mm steel, so you're just giving it an extra support. I'm just starting to make up the rails going to the seals and then going to the exhaust tunnel. Just made out of cold drawn steel, 2mm thick. Just started shaping them. Then I'm going to make up the brackets and weld in the captive nuts. So you can see here, this is for the front rail. You see this side's a flat, this goes up against the sill, and then I've shaped this side down to go to the exhaust tunnel, and then I've just chamfered the metal at a 45-degree angle just for allowing me to be able to penetrate a little bit better with the welding. Right, so there you go, that's the last of the spreader plates welded in. You can see I like to put a load of heat into them, get maximum penetration. You can't mess around with seat welds even though they are a little bit hot. I'm going to show you now how to get the rails nice and level. I always start with the front rail, work my way backwards. Right, so now the front rail's in, you can just go along the front rail. I use a flat bar, just bubble it up. Make sure it's nice and straight. And then you can weld in the second rail, which I've already done. And then all I do then is I use the same bit of flat bar and I go across the back. Make sure that's nice and straight. And then the same at this end. Just make sure it's lovely and straight so that when you're welding in the brackets, the seat's going to sit there at a nice angle. So now the rails are all welded in, it's time to knock up some seat brackets. The bracket's going to weld to the rails. I've got a bit of mock-up rail here. Basically what I do is I cut out 2-inch sections of box, so they're 2mm thick. And then it's going to act as 4mm thick when I've finished with it, so it's got tons of strength in there. So what I do then is I cut the section of box, you can see like that, and that allows it to sit perfectly flush on the rail, like you can see there. And you can get loads of heat, loads of metal into that, and be able to weld it on lovely and flush. And then what I do is drill through both sides of the box section and then sandwich it with a bit of tubing so that it can't crush down. I have the nut on the bottom, and that effectively allows me to have 4mm of steel so I don't end up through the windscreen in a crash. Once I've cut the bracket 10mm with a step cutter, I then tube it. So I'm going to cut that tube down to length, and then I can just tack round there, tack round the back side, and that stops it crushing down, and then I can just flat it off with a flat disc. Right, so that's one of the brackets all made up. So I've welded the tube in and I've flatted it down so there's no weld or anything, so that's nice and flush so the seat bracket can sit to it nicely. And you don't have to do this, but you can hold it with a spanner underneath, but I just like to put a bolt straight the way through. I'm going to weld on a captive nut on the back so that I can just put a bolt all the way through the bracket and straight into the nut, and I don't have to hold it on the back. I always use 10.9 tensile steel bolts for the seat bracket. There's no substitute for safety. So all the brackets are welded up. You can see I've welded on the captive nut on the back, just 3 nice tacks in there. Well enough, it's only holding the nut straight. So now comes the most difficult part of lining up the seat brackets. So you only really get one chance with this. Once they're welded up, they're welded up. So let's get on to that. So the seats that I use in the Astra, the driver's side is a GT seat, so it's a lot wider. So that's the passenger side. You can see that's a stock side seat, and that's a GT seat. If you look at in comparison, you can see that the driver's side seat's a lot wider. And I just like that. It's a lot more comfy. It's got a lot more leg room. It allows you to move your legs around a bit more. I find that the stock side seat's a little bit too tight, but it's perfect for a passenger side. So I'm just bolting on these side mounts now. I want to get the seating position into the car. So on the Astras, I don't know if you know, but the seat and the steering wheel sits very, very close to the centre of the car. You can see how far over to the left it sits. So when you have a GT seat, it's quite hard to get it to fit with the gear stick and everything. So I'm going to get that in there now, work out where the seat brackets need to go, and we can tack them in. So before I bolt these seat mounts to the seat, I've bolted on the brackets already and in the position that I know they're going to be. It's the second from front, second from back. I know that from previous experience of fitting these seats. So now we're going to bolt them to the seat, the side mounts, and then that way you can see we've got the movement left and right. You can see I'm going to be able to tack it nicely. It's going to sit perfectly flat to the rail. Be able to put a nice tack in there, and then I can remove the side mounts and put a nice bead of material in there, loads of strength, loads of heat. Get these seats in, and as I say, it's a lot more difficult because the steering wheel sits off to the left in these cars. So I just refitted the seat with all the seat brackets and everything. I managed to get a tack in there. It's really difficult. I only had to be able to do one corner, but you can see how tight to the side of the exhaust tunnel the GTC sits. So you can see here it literally butts right up against the exhaust tunnel on the back side. Right, finally all the welding for the rails have done, so they're all in place. I've welded it underneath as well. Just going to grind them all back flat now so the seat brackets sit on there nicely. Well, there we go. So the seat runners are all in, all the brackets are in. Just laid some primer over the top so it don't rust. I've welded up all the little holes. You can see where the spot weld drill bit had went through. So now we can do a final installation of the seat, make sure everything's good. I've just got to weld in a couple of eyelet holes. I've got some threaded rod. I'll show you what I'm probably going to put that up against the exhaust tunnel with a bit of plate. So the seat's all bolted in there now. I'm really happy with the seating position, how nice it's come out. Perfectly lined up with the steering wheels. Steering wheels are adjustable on these, they can move in and out, which is good. I'm going to change that steering wheel out as well. There is no airbag in there at the minute. That's just an airbag cover, so it looks like it's an airbag, but it actually ain't because it's ugly without it. Because for some reason I really like the driving feel of these stock wheels. They're just really comfortable. They're actually quite a good looking steering wheel as well. But yeah, so inside there is no airbag. It's literally just the cover, and I've just made a bracket up there to bolt it back in, so there's no extra weight for the steering wheel. The actual mounting brackets for these are aluminium as well, so they weigh nothing. They weigh as much as an aftermarket steering wheel. But anyway, the side on this, you can see, goes down into here in the eyelet into the sill, nice and strong. But now I've took out the mounting brackets for the floor. I've got nowhere to put in the passenger side strap, so what I do is I have to weld in a bung with a 3mm steel thick bit of plate down the back here, and then I can screw in an eyelet, clip that to it, and we've got 4 mounting points. So the rods come in sections like this, really thick, nice thick steel, zinc plated, and they just thread in. But what I normally do is I cut them down to a manageable length because there's no need for them to be that long, but they're just like a universal fit. That then threads into there like that. You weld this to a strong 3mm steel bit of plate, weld it to the floor pan, and then you've got a lovely mounting point for your harness. So the harness is in there on the passenger side. I've got 4 mounting points now for the harnesses. I'm probably going to get a 5th harness to stop submarining as well. They're uncomfortable, but I use it at track. If anyone out there has got a full roll cage or even a half roll cage for an Astra Mark IV that they want to get rid of, or someone out there, a company wants to supply me with one, get in touch with me now. I really want to put one in. This would be the perfect time to do it. So let me know if you have one. So I've got loads of bits coming up for this car in the next couple of weeks. If you're interested, smash the like button so I know. I've just stripped down the front end, stripped down all the engine bay because I've got the new coilovers going on the front. I've just took the coilovers off this to be refurbished. The engine bay's a mess at the minute, so I've just pulled it all apart so I can tidy it up. I can't stand it being as messy as that. So yeah, join me in the next episode. Smash the like button and subscribe.